I was born Aleeca Grace Scharschmidt, and I got married and changed my last name to King, which is a lot easier to say.
So I am Mario King. I am Barbadian.
So I'm actually from Jamaica. I've been living in Barbados these full 10 years since I've been married.
So I am the oldest sibling of there's four of us. One brother, two sisters.
Middle child to Carl and Rosie. So I have an older sister, Callie, and a younger brother, Lee.
Spent a lot of time with my grandmother, with my cousins and my brother, and just other children from the neighborhood and stuff like that. So had a lot of days running boat in the gully, just having fun, getting into some trouble. I don't think anybody ever broke any limbs, so maybe we didn't have enough fun.
So it was nice having cousins, aunties, uncles around all the time. It was such a fun, wonderful childhood, and that was family. Everybody loved the Lord. It was big. Come together and pray, come together and sing, do church functions together. You know, it's a big Christian heritage that we have as Adair's. And then on my daddy's side was a smaller family. But my grandma P had a store in Halfway Tree. So we had a good relationship with her because we would always go up to her store on the way home from school. When we got old and we could like walk home from school, we'd be with her and we'd see that side of the family for like holidays, things like that. So I had a good family on both sides.
It's always been a sense in which you felt responsible or leading. First grandson as well, so like all the cousins and everything was oldest as well. So there's always been that sense of leadership. When I was in primary school, by the time I got into class 4, I was head boy at school. And a lot of stuff that happened in church and teams and quizzes and different things like that, you always felt like you were thrust into these leadership positions.
I went to Maysville Prep, then I went to Arden High, awesome schools, really good foundations, and I guess I was a good student. I wasn't like valedictorian, but I took my schoolwork seriously. I enjoyed school. I enjoyed studying and learning and getting my 100% when I got them, you know. A bit nerdy. I can say I was a bit nerdy.
I did well in primary school, did common entrance, went to what was then considered top secondary school. But the secondary school experience for me was kind of interesting. My teenage years altogether were a bit awkward. I would say they was difficult for me to navigate through. There was so much that I felt like about myself that I just couldn't get figured out. And it is amazing that it is in the midst of all of that I really came into a saving knowledge of Jesus when I was 13. And I would say to you that even then I can't say that I necessarily everything transformed within those teenage years.
Yeah, I didn't have a rebellious teenage phase. I had a wonderful church family growing up. I was PGC and I was just wild. Run around and play football with the boys, join the band, hiking, camping.
I still spent a lot of time searching, a lot of time making a lot of mistakes, trusting in friendships and relationships that really didn't pan out the way I thought they would, missing out on opportunities to really connect with people that I probably should have, or probably should have, made the best of those experiences.
I tried so many things, sports, football. I played violin with an orchestra. Like it was a wonderful youth growing up.
Growing up, I was a bad asthmatic, and for that reason, I was often coddled and oh, don't do this, and he can't do this, and he's not so fast, he's not so strong, kind of thing. That's not just what people were saying, but those are voices that I had in my head for a long time. So although I was very much interested in sports, I never let myself really pursue any of the things that I was truly interested in, just because I felt like eventually somebody can I mean, I probably won't be that good at it, and then or something bad is going to happen, and they're going to be like, okay, you can't do this anymore. So I could avoid all of that by, just being a spectator, being somebody who does these things casually but never really committed to them. And that's definitely something that growing up, I regret not really testing the limits of my own strength and my own capabilities, especially in the context of sports that I was interested in.
I'd say when I was about 5 years old and we were living in England at the time, my daddy went to finish his studies, so the whole family went to England. That's where I was introduced to animals. I think my teacher had, her cat had just had kittens and she invited us over to see them, and then we had pets in the classroom as well. So like I think I got the opportunity to take home a pet for one of the vacations because we were at school. Somebody had to volunteer to take it home. So I was exposed to animals there, and that's kind of where the idea of being a vet got into my head. I think I didn't know that there were other careers that you could have work with animals. So I just thought work with animals, it means you have to be a vet. So that's kind of the track I went on. And at Arden, you pick your subjects at the end of third form. So when I was 13 is basically when you decide what you want your life to be. So I had to pick science subjects so that I could go to medical school so that I could be a vet. And the Lord would have it that worked perfectly. I mean, I didn't get straight A's, but I got into vet school straight from high school. So I flew off to university at 17, did vet school. I was 22 and I was a vet. Like I did it. Dr. Scharschmidt.
With regards to career, I pursued engineering because I thought I would like to the studying aspect of it compared to other careers where I had to do a lot of reading. It seemed like this was a lot more reasoning and using scientific principles, which I felt more inclined to be a part of. And then I also heard that you could get pretty rich doing the work. So that's again, you have to make these decisions when you're, at least in our education system, you have to make these decisions when you're a teenager. In fact, like a 13-year-old has to decide what subjects they're going to study in order to become what they want to be for the rest of their life. And so I made a decision based on limited information that I would pursue a career in engineering. And God allowed that to kind of transpire the way it did. And I did end up studying in Trinidad, the University of the West Indies. And got my degree in industrial engineering. Started doing some work in industrial engineering. Well, not in industrial engineering, but started working within the field of engineering. And fairly quickly, I discovered that I really didn't have a passion for this kind of work.
Funny enough, I didn't actually end up practicing. I think maybe it was a misconception of the best Christian that you can be is to be a missionary. Like if you're going to go all out for Christ, then your whole life should be. So it's definitely a good thing to be a missionary. But I think I did have a more like a celebrity idea of missions. I've got to go somewhere exotic. And I really think that the Lord had prepared me beforehand to do something like that. Because I was a wild girl. I could live in the bush. Fine. I didn't care about some of the more girly aesthetics that are needed in the modern world. I was finally giving it up, and I was like, well, this must be the Lord, preparing me for a life of being in the bush somewhere. So I just put two and two together and I said, I'm going to be a missionary. So I got home from vet school and I couldn't find a job right away. And I heard about Wycliffe at a church event that I was at, and I was like, well, let me sign up for this. And again, another perfectly aligned track of just jumping straight into Wycliffe. I worked locally in Jamaica first, and then I went on the mission field. I went to Chad in Africa for a 3-month exploration kind of a trip to see what it was going to be like, to see if this is really what I wanted to do. And then that got derailed because I got married the following year.
While I was studying, I was very much involved in the InterVarsity Christian Fellowship in Trinidad, and I again ended up in a position of leadership there. And those opportunities for ministry as a student, witnessing to my peers, engaging in Bible study together with other students, doing just activities with organizing fellowship events and creative ways to share our faith with other students and hosting concerts and stuff like that. Those were the things that I would say I felt like I came alive doing. And it's kind of from that perspective that I was able to compare that experience to when I started doing engineering work. And I said, there's something that I am way more drawn to, even though everybody feels like this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Or at least I thought everybody thought that's how I should be living my life with regards to, get a job, make some money, then you can take care of your family and whatever else. But I really had a sense in which God had called me to invest in people, to invest in the gospel, invest in communicating the truth of the gospel to others.
So it took a few years to accept that that is not where I was supposed to be. I wasn't supposed to be on the mission field. I was supposed to be here. I mean, I didn't want to buy a house here. I didn't want to settle. This is temporary. That's what I want to do. But yeah, so it took me a while of listening to the Lord, of seeing and understanding that serving here, serving my family, because I'm a housewife, a homeschooler full time. I'm not back into vet. I'm not doing anything else outside of my household. And for me to have to accept that, this is big service to the Lord as well. You don't have to be on a stage. You don't have to be far away. That you can serve here.
At some point in time, I was doing that and teaching part time, and it kind of became like, this is my pocket. This is the space that I want to be in. I want to be able to connect with students. I want to be able to share what I know. I want to be able to engage with them. I want to be able to see them change and see them grow and that kind of thing. Like, that was the thing that I came alive doing, and that was a blessing for me. There've been some bumps along the way. At one point in time, I actually left serving ministry and I was teaching full time. But I've since returned and I'm now serving as a director for the ISCF ministry here in Barbados. Along with that, I serve in my church, again, pouring into people, preaching, Bible studies, just engaging with people, doing teaching, teaching my children about God, about how to love Him, and growing together with my wife. So I feel like those things have fulfilled that aspect of my life for sure, and I'm not really seeking much more than that.
As I was serving here in my family, I also looked for opportunities to volunteer with different things. So for sure, ISCF, I volunteered with that quite a bit when Mario was on staff. Less so now, dealing with the family, starting to homeschool a lot more. Less so now. And I've also been volunteering with Unborn Justice, which is the only pro-life organization in Barbados. So I've been working with them as well. I worked with Wycliffe for a long time when I initially came to Barbados as well, but my involvement there has lessened. Yeah, I guess that's me. I'm an extrovert. I love being out and seeing people and having fun. I still have those same adventurous desires in me. Those haven't changed. That's just me. So I love being outside, and I love sharing that with my children now. And yeah, we'll see what else the Lord has in store for me in the future.